Three, two, one. Welcome back to Artist on Record, your ultimate intimate conversation with your favorite artist. And if it is your first time here, that's you. Subscribe, hit the bell to be notified, and please post your comments down below. We always love to hear from you. Our next guest right here, the author of the newly book right here, Mike Stone. He's in the hot seat. My Time with Priscilla and Lisa Marie Presley. You get the books. I'll put the links in our description, or make sure you click right above here to order that. Take you right there. It's a great read. He's a great guy. So now, everybody, please welcome Mr. Mike Stone to the show. You are listening to Artist on Record, the podcast. Today in the hot seat, Mike Stone.
Thank you very much.
We're here. That's a great intro, right? You don't want like a big intro, like a big.
No, it was perfect.
That was perfect. Between you and me, Mike, before we get started, I do like the big intro. You're like Captain America over here. You've done a lot of stuff in the martial arts world. It's big. Your accomplishments are very big. But this is not your first book. You have other books that you've written and in the future coming out, correct?
Yes. I have, I think, 4 other books on Amazon right now. One is The Philosopher, A Poet, The Observer, and Living in Paradise.
All right. I'll put links to all that so everybody could check that out. So right now, Mike, you have this book out, Mike Stone, My Time with Priscilla and Lisa Marie Presley. It's a book that actually takes us, the reader, to a journey with your 4-year relationship with Priscilla and Lisa Marie. And it's filled with other fascinating stories also. Bruce Lee, Phil Spector. You have Engelbert Humperdinck in there, one of my favorites. There's so much to discuss here, but I appreciate you making the time coming here. And let's just kick off the show a little bit, Mike. Give us a quick breakdown of your journey and what brought you to where you are today.
Pretty much, I was just born in Hawaii on the island of Maui. Went to elementary school there, then went to boarding high school at Lahaina Luna on the island of Maui. Right after that, I went into the military. I guess within 2 or 3 weeks after graduating, I was inducted, I think, on the 4th of July. I volunteered for 3 years in the Army, went through basic training at Fort Ord, California, then went to finance school at Fort Ben Harrison, Indianapolis, Indiana, then was stationed permanently for the remaining 2.5 years of my enlistment at Fort Chaffee, Arkansas. And when I got there, I was playing volleyball one day and saw a guy punching the bleachers with his bare knuckles. And he was a karate guy named Herbert Peters, and he's from the island of Maui also. I had gone to school at the boarding school with his younger brother, Angus, and he was going to start a karate club on the post. So I volunteered to join and started a career. And within a very short period of time, it was 3 months, I guess, only, then there were some competitions. Karate started having a tournament competition. And we went to 3 tournaments in a row, October, November, and December of '63. And I won all of those tournaments. And he registered me as a brown belt so I could get some experience. So after the 3 months, the last one was actually at Mr. June Reese tournament in Arlington, Virginia, the Nationals. And I won that. And there was a very interesting confrontation he had with several of the black belts there. And they accused him of me being his top black belt and let me wear a brown belt, a lower rank, so I could win all of these tournaments that I just won, 3 in a row. And he was wondering, why would they think that? So he asked, what do you mean? They said, well, he's not really a brown belt. And he said, no, he's not. He's actually a white belt. He's been only studying now for 6 months total time. So they said, well, we can't allow someone like that to enter all these events and win them so easily. So you'll have to promote him to a black belt And he did. So on our flight back to Arkansas, he promoted me to a black belt. And this was 6 months from the day I started training. So I was very blessed to have that opportunity. And then one thing followed the next. I started going to black belt tournaments and winning all of them. And until I retired undefeated. I haven't lost in 92 matches. Don't have a second place trophy. So I've been very, very, very blessed. I was very disillusioned with the direction that martial arts was taking in the early 70s. So I waited a little bit. I started doing a lot of promotions. I opened up a couple karate schools in California, in Huntington Beach. And I started promoting tournaments, special events, black belt team championships. Was invited to compete with Ed Parker, who was Elvis's instructor. He was throwing an event in Hawaii, and I fought on the U.S. mainland team against the Hawaii team. And when we competed in that event, it was, I think, the honeymoon of Priscilla and Elvis. They were staying at the ADIKA Hotel in Waikiki, and they came to that event. And many years later, when Priscilla and I were together, she brought up that particular event and said, "Oh, we came to see you fight." I said, "Yeah, I know you guys were there. Why did you guys leave early?" And she said, "Oh, we normally leave about 5 minutes before, so we beat the rush. People are going to be asking them for autographs and stuff like that, so it would have interrupted the award ceremony." So she just said that when we went back to the hotel for the rest of the night to the early morning, all Elvis and the boys were talking about was your fighting, because Ed Parker had already talked to Elvis about me as being one of the best. And at that event, I won the most outstanding competitor award for the US team. So I think that's where maybe an interest started, or she said it was when she first became interested in me because of my abilities and skill. And Elvis was very impressed with it. So, and then just one thing led to another. Then I eventually I went to Las Vegas for about 4 or 5 years. I worked as a bodyguard for Phil Spector for a while, Engelbert Humperdinck for a while. And then I moved to the Philippines, and I'm on this little island now for over 40 years. But I started introducing a program or a lifestyle that has to do with the basic tenets of martial arts. So that's the next book that I'll be coming out with in June, May or June. And it's called The 9 Levels of Power. And it's just different levels, not of physical skills or abilities, but of understanding your integration into universal law and natural law. And it's kind of like a new age stuff back then, but right now I see it happening so much. There's so much information about energy, frequency, and vibration. So I think people are starting to understand it a little bit more, and how they can incorporate and apply these natural philosophies of life, the way the universe really works, into their daily life. So that's what I'm doing now.
You have a lot of books in you that a lot of people want to talk and discuss and hear from you. A lot of stories. You've seen a lot. It's
Well,
funny when you
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's just funny when you mention Elvis seeing you fight, because here he is. He's getting into it because he was into karate, as we all know, and he's seeing you fight, and he's like so into that to move forward later on, just to see this guy that he liked, and then he sees you with his wife later on. Uh, how it must have tripped his ego and his head out, which, you know, as a man, men have egos and they get crazy.
It's
Let's just go.
understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's understandable. Okay, so let's talk about the book really quick. Can you tell the viewers the core message of this book and why you decided to share your story now?
All right. Thank you. The about a year and a half ago, I guess it was, when there was some issues with Lisa's health, and then she passed away. And I think within 2 weeks after she had passed, um, I heard that Priscilla had filed a complaint, or contesting the will that Lisa had, and something about a signature, something wasn't right, and the fact that she was released as a trustee, that was apparently not, she was not notified. Anyway, there were several things like that that happened, that I contacted some friends in Los Angeles and asked if they would follow up and supply me with information regarding this issue about her contesting the will. And after several, I read a lot of the information and the back and forth of what was happening. And then I started to think like, well, this is not the girl that I knew. I mean, this was really nothing about what she had lived I recognized as the person that I was with at that time. So basically, what I wanted to do was to shed light a little bit on her, to let, I know their life has been in chaos, turmoil, loss, death, drugs. It's been horrific. So here's the thing that bothered me was Elvis was, to me, the handsomest person I've ever seen in my life. He's extremely good looking, extremely famous, and had some money. And she was married to him. So I'm thinking like, for any girl, all of Elvis fans must have admired Priscilla for being the wife, or didn't like her for whatever reasons they have. But I think Priscilla at one time, when I started to think about it, I said, well, it's kind of unfair to her, in a sense, that she's getting a, there's two sides to every story. So if you look at Elvis, there's people like him, don't like him. You look at Priscilla, people like her, don't like her. You look at me, they all don't like me. So you have this thing. But I wanted to share an aspect of how she was like when I was with her and Lisa, just to give insight into, there was a time for both of them, for both Lisa and Priscilla, that they were truly happy. So when I look back at some of the pictures that I have and see the times that, the things that she did coming out of Graceland, she never did before. So it was really a coming out for her, that she was experiencing things, a normal way of living that she did not experience there. So I just wanted to share some of those ideas. And with Lisa, I mean, how can you be at 5 and 6 years old? You're just an angel. And Lisa was, she was fantastic, very easy to get along, always happy, tremendous smile. And she looks, she has that look of Elvis when you look at her. So I was very blessed to have spent that time with them. And I just wanted to show another side, maybe, of how they were, and not all of the chaos, the confusion, the way life unfolded for both of them, actually for all three, for Elvis, Lisa, and Priscilla. And when you hear that, the first thing they say to me is, Mike, it is so sad how their lives turned out. I mean, having the best looks, money, fame, having all of this amounts to nothing at the end if you live your life where it cannot be fun. I mean, it's not enjoyable having all of these wonderful gifts and talents and abilities and skills, and then end up with a life that ends up just being sad, is how they chose to express what their lives were. And you look at Lisa, I mean, from the time that she saw Elvis in Graceland, the last time she saw him, I mean, that's got to be such a devastating thing for a young lady. And, loving your father as she did. And then the way she grew up after that, it's tragic. It's not sad, it's tragic that their lives have ended the way they have, with all that they've possessed. And the thing that's sad is, I want people to understand a little bit, is that, we look at them and we admire them. Everything about what we think is important, the human materialistic idea, looks, money, fame, these are not truly the important things, because look how it turns out. And it's not an isolated situation. So many famous people, wealthy and everything, great talents, this is how their life ends. So it's sad, it's tragic. And it doesn't have to be that way. And why it is, I don't know. But now the fascination we all have as normal people, we are so caught up in the fantasy of their lives, and we want to, we hold them up as these are our role models. But really, is this how you want to end your life as well? Do you want to follow that? So anyway, it's a very sad thing that we have to kind of get back to the basics all the time, and realize whatever our lives are, if we're being the best that we can, if we're not hurting anybody on purpose, if we're living that idea, as mundane as life may be, that's life. Life is not exciting. It's, you have to work at it. It's a challenge continuously.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's why I wrote the book.
You shed a light of take the dark side out and let's show a little light right here in their lives. There's a time of Lisa Marie's life and Priscilla where they were happy, they were together,
Yeah.
and it was
Oh
a
yeah. Yeah, and you could see it. Yeah, I just found 30 pictures I took of Priscilla that when I called home, they went to the storage and found this short album. And these were personal pictures that I've taken of Priscilla. And my God, with no makeup, she is such a gorgeous woman, just naturally beautiful. So she didn't need anything to enhance her appearance. But at some point in her life, apparently she wasn't satisfied with that. So when you start changing your physical appearance and the way she looks now, that's again, you can say it's tragic and it's sad because somebody so naturally beautiful, don't aren't they sad? Don't they know in their heart that it's who they are inside that is the beauty? It's not the exterior look. So, it's very sad. It's very sad.
it's very sad. And I know I spoke with you before. I went to Graceland, and just we're fascinated as fans of the music and all that. But when you go to Graceland, there is a bad taste on your taste buds when you walk out because you see Lisa Marie, you see her son next to her, you see Elvis. Just the whole thing is a dark. It's very dark. You don't walk
Yeah.
away feeling good. For me
Yeah.
personally, I'm glad you wrote the book, and you do give a light on the relationship and your time with Priscilla, Lisa Marie Presley. Links will be up here. Make sure if you guys want to order it, you could click right there. In the past, you're surrounded personally by stories and movies about Elvis, and you're often seen as the guy who took the king's wife. Now, to clear the air here, because a lot of people think, oh, that was Elvis's friend. How could he have done that? And let me give you to say what you have to say about that.
Well, first of all, there's, like all situations in life, not with somebody famous, but just between normal people, there's a lot of misinterpretation, misunderstanding, assumptions. That's how we are as human beings. So we create our reality through our perceptions. So the idea that has been floated around for many, many years is that I was Elvis's instructor. I mean, many people come up to me and say, "Oh, how does it feel to teach Elvis Presley karate?" I never taught him a lesson. Then the other thing was you were very, very close friends. I met him 4 times in my life. 3 of the times were within a minute or two, and one time a little bit longer. But you can't establish the type of friendship people are assuming that we had. We were not close friends. Now, I think if I was with him, I think I could have influenced him to make a change because he was so vulnerable. But I think a lot of times, even when they asked Priscilla, well, why didn't you stay with him? You loved him and you have all of this, and why would anybody give that up? Well, she has an agenda too. She has a life she wants to live. She has goals and dreams. And why shouldn't she? Like anyone else, why can't you live your dreams? Why you keep denying your power and your abilities? So listen, we all go through this. I was never that close to Elvis, so I didn't think that I did anything against him. I'm not going to go out and try to hurt him. I was as selfish as anyone else. I was trying to make myself happy, and Priscilla gave me an opportunity of a lifetime for somebody that was ugly, poor, and not famous. I mean, like you said, what can it do to a man's ego? If Elvis was damaged by what had happened, uh, we all going to suffer that. My ego was confronted, and I took the easy way out. So it's a choice I made. I had to I had to accept the results, outcomes, and consequences of my choices, and I did through the hatred and negativity of other people perceiving me, and that's the price I have to pay. But my point is, can you imagine the people that still feel this way today after 50 years? I am sad for them. I am sad that if you hear my name, it throws you back 50 years into your life and you're bringing that negative energy into your present existence. I mean, it cannot be a happy life if you're living that far back in the past and just the mention of my name makes you upset, and you may not have ever met him once in your life.
That's
So
true. It's true.
yeah,
In
well,
the book,
I think it is, but people have their own idea what's
e-
true.
everybody has their own idea. Let me ask, when you see yourself being portrayed in a movie, because there's been lots of movies of Elvis, and there's always a different Mike Stone in there. How's that make you feel? When you're watching it or you see that and they portray
Well,
you?
yeah, no, it doesn't. Listen, I've done movies. I understand how they work. I know how you put them together. I know the basic concept of it. But let's take the last movie that Priscilla did. She obviously had a tremendous say and impact in how who was casted to play me, what the role was going, how was she going to show the relationship, and she showed it the way she wants to show it now. That I was just the instructor. There was no romantic relationship, and all of this she's in denial, and for whatever reason she's doing it now. I don't know what her legacy is going to be, but this, and I can't do nothing about it, so I'll just accept it. If I can't do anything about it, if people want to believe what they want to believe, they will do that. I'm not here to change anybody's mind, but maybe we should all just grow and evolve and become a little bit more tolerant. Like you said, when you get older, you become more patient, more
Mhm.
wise, more understanding. But some people have not. They're still living 50 years ago. So that's sad.
Absolutely. In the book, you mentioned wondering why Priscilla chose you. Do you feel like she had an agenda? Perhaps it was a way to get back at Elvis?
Well, again, being honest, my ego at the time believed it was me, you know, because I did think, with she could have picked 1,000 guys in Hollywood that were very much more handsome, had more money, and more famous than I was, for sure. So why did she pick me? And I'm sure that's the question a lot of the fans had. Why this guy, this obscure guy that's just a karate instructor? I mean, she will have to answer that. I can't. But when she picked me, for whatever reason she had at that time, I wanted to believe it was because of who I was, the
Mm,
person that I was. So that was my ego trip. And, if that was not the reason she selected me, then for 4 years she lived a lie where I lived my truth. I wanted to believe that this was the truth, and I did the best I could to be a good partner.
yeah,
So,
four
yeah.
years. It's a long time. Now, the one thing that I'm interested in, and and I'm sure a lot of the viewers are out there. You in the book, you talk about the phone call, Elvis. You taking the phone, confronting Elvis because he was threatening you, all this crazy stuff. Can you? I just got to ask you, man, really quick. It baffles. It's like the king of rock and roll versus the king of martial arts. It would be the best pay per view, make millions right now, better than the Jake Paul fight in Tyson. If it was out today, if you went back in time, that
Yes.
phone call, you grabbed the phone. What was that? I got to be a fly on the wall. Can you tell us that story really quick?
Yeah, Priscilla she got a call and she started to cry on the phone. So I asked what she's crying about, and she wouldn't answer. And then she was not really talking, she was just listening. And then, 3 or 4 or 5 minutes into the call, she kept crying and crying more. So I said, "Who is it?" And she wouldn't say. And then I said, "Is that Elvis?" and she kind of nodded her head. So I said, give me the phone. And she wouldn't do it initially. I said, give me the phone. So I took the phone from her. And then when I put the phone to my ear, actually what I initially heard was actually heavy breathing. I mean, it was like somebody was having difficulty breathing. And then I said, hello. And then he said, oh, um, I'm going to come over there and make you beg for your life. I said, what? Make me beg for my life? Wow. So I said, well, I'm not going to run from you ever. You can always find me. You know where I live. So I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to hide. You can always come and find me, and you can do what you think you can do. And that was it. I gave her back the phone.
And that was it. You
That
didn't
was it.
worry. You didn't worry about anybody ever coming knocking on your door. His henchmen, the Memphis Mafia. Elvis sent us.
Yeah.
You never worried.
Well, there's one thing about worry. It does no good for anyone, especially the person worrying. What are you
Mm,
going to worry about?
true. True. True.
No,
Did Priscilla say anything about, hey, he's really crazy. He could send some people, Mike. Maybe we should
no,
have
I,
said,
I, I knew that already. I've heard all the stories,
yeah,
so I knew how he was. I know he has a hot temper. Listen, when you're in that state and everybody is at your beck and call, it's very difficult if you pursue that lifestyle and that doesn't change, and everybody's bowing to your every demand, every request, everything that happens. Then I can understand how it's difficult to believe that that's who you are.
mm,
So, but it's not the truth.
it's not the truth. That's crazy. I gotta kiss your ass, Mike. I gotta tell you, the king of rock and roll. You went and you went. You know what? Well, you never sat down on it. You're like, hey, I'm here. I'm not hiding. You want me? Here I am. Come and
Well,
get
I
me.
never I never looked at him as the king of anything. He was a very talented, gifted, handsome, wealthy guy. But
Yeah.
what am I going to do with that?
No, no. I think being the king of rock and roll got to his head, and the people he surrounded himself, he got lost. And obviously in the end, the truth does come out. You see
Yes,
where
it does.
this you see how the movie ended for them all. It's very sad, as we said in the beginning. Um,
Yes.
Let me ask you, and here's a personal question. How did your family react to the news of your relationship with Priscilla? Because you were married before, and how did they all take that? And how did you take it?
Well, I took it based on my perception and what I thought was best for me, obviously, very selfishly. They didn't take it very well.
Yeah. But in time, there was healing there with your family afterwards in
Yes,
time.
of course. Yeah, if they really are your family and they love you, of course. Listen, the same thing happened to me, the choices I made. It happens every day with
Mm,
everybody, sometimes two or three times in their lifetime. So this is not like, oh my God, it's so horrible what he did. No, everybody's doing this every day in every relationship. Things sometimes don't work out for whatever reason. And it's not a matter of blaming whose fault it is. Life is not about faults. Life is about making choices. And when you make a choice,
absolutely.
there's going to be an outcome and consequences. Before you make a choice, you have to now think far enough in advance whenever the outcome and decision or the result's going to happen. You got to already anticipate that. So you must be willing to accept the responsibility for your choices.
Yeah,
And this sometimes you learn later in life.
absolutely. Okay, hearing the news, the passing of Lisa Marie, what went through your mind and emotions when you heard that?
Well, again, I use the word tragic and sad. I mean, yeah, what can you say? But if you understand that life, I just said, if you understand that life are choices that you make, and if you're making choices that people can see the end result, some people are not looking far enough into the future on their choices that they act like it's a surprise. It's not a surprise. You could see it coming. Why? Because her father did the same thing. People around her did the same thing. So people are just living. You can only teach what you know. So in martial arts, for me, I can only teach what I know. I can't teach beyond my comprehension, beyond my knowledge, beyond my experience. I can't teach that. I don't know it. But if you're exposed to this all of your life, then what do you expect? What do you think the results are going to be different from the choices you make? And that's when people get into denial. So everything is like a surprise. Oh my God, she died so young. It's tragic. Yes, it is. But didn't anybody see this coming? With Elvis before, did Priscilla see it coming? Is that why she left? Did she try everything she could to help him? I think she did. Apparently, the other people, they want to continue their relationship and what's happening. So everybody has an agenda. Everybody has a reason why they do things. And it may not be harmonious for everybody. It may be agendas that is just for you. I understand that.
Yeah, absolutely. After the breakup with you and Priscilla, did you guys ever bump into each other in the world of Hollywood, or no? That was it.
No, but I bumped into Priscilla. I mean, to with Lisa one day. She was about, I think, 14. I think she was actually living or staying at Scientology, and we had gone to a movie at Universal Studios, and I had just walked away from getting the tickets, and then I just turned to look back, and I saw Lisa, and she was with a young guy, and she turned. We were maybe about 25, 30 feet away from each other, and she turned and she mouthed, I saw her lips move, and she said, "Oh, that's Mike Stone." And then she turned back, and the guy, he looked around like, "Where?" And she kind of like pointed, but I was already looking at her. But that's
Wow.
the only time I've seen her after. I haven't seen her since, or Priscilla since.
Wow. 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 That's heavy. That's heavy. Now, is there anything that you wish you would have said to Priscilla or would like to say at this point?
Gee, that's a very, very, very good question. And the thing that I would like to say is probably even for myself, because I made negative choices, I made wrong choices. I did things that hurt some people, which was not my intention. My intention was to make me feel better. So I'm sure she's making choices that she feels is the best for her at this time in her life. So, and I'm I'm the last one to give any advice about anything. So no, I don't think I would say anything. And even if I did, I don't think she would have taken my advice.
I don't think so. Mr. Mike Stone, his book, My Time with Priscilla and Lisa Marie Presley. You could get that book. Links will be in the description. It's a great read from a great guy. And Mike, you know what? It's I gotta give you props, man. To put your heart out in this book, it probably wasn't easy to write, and there's a lot of emotions that ran through your mind putting this down here. But for the Elvis fans that are interested, you get to hear the real Mike Stone. And with this interview, I hope we cleared some air for some of you guys out there that are fans of the music that Elvis gave you. But this is the man that spent some time in the happy times this book shows of his
Yeah,
time with
yeah.
Lisa and Priscilla. And you have a new book. So you want to just share that with the people, what you're working on in the
Yeah.
future?
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a book that I've been writing for the past 30 years or so. Ever since I left the United States and moved on this little island in the Philippines 40 years ago, 41 years ago. I moved primarily to make changes in myself because, like I said, I knew the direction martial arts was moving in, and I didn't like it because the martial arts people were not expounding the values, the virtues, and the principles of true martial artists. Now, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but the core of when I started was this is what I wanted to enter martial arts for. I did want to change even my perception and my belief of who I was. So when I moved to this island, it's a very small island, isolated and everything. So I spent 40 years there and a lot of soul searching and made a lot of improvements, a lot of changes in my belief system, in my perception of reality, just major shifts and changes. And I decided to take this lifestyle philosophy and share it with other people. So I've had people come to me where I live and go through a program that I have. It's 7, 14, 21, or 30 days where you live with us on the property. You're not allowed to, there's no smoking, drinking, no drugs, obviously, and no eating. So we put people on a juice fast, And it's a very, fasting, people have a misconception about it, but it's one of the best things you can do for your health and for your life. It'll also clear your mind. And that's the main thing. It puts you in a state of mind that you start to have clarity of your thoughts. When your body is detoxing, your mind is also detoxing. And then you start to think a little bit, things are more clear to you. So this is what I'm doing. And I decided to put together this program called the 9 Levels of Power. And it's really 9 different chapters in the book. And each one is a positive chapter. It deals with something that we can move toward in life. But the one chapter that is going to be confusing for people is the chapter on fear. I put fear in the book because fear is diametrically opposed to love. So fear must be included. But I have a spin on fear, and that fear is not your enemy. It's not something you have to confront. It's not something you have to challenge. Fear is actually your friend. So if you look at fear and say, the things that I'm afraid of, why am I afraid of this thing? What is it about this fear that I have that I'm so concerned? And when you take a look at it and look at it this way, fear is your friend. It's simply tapping you on the back and telling you that there is an aspect of yourself that you are not willing to look at honestly. That's what fear is. So fear can be, the analogy would be like a bully or an overinflated balloon. It's easier to burst. Just with a pin, you can burst this hot air. A bully, if he confronts you, if you just stand up to him, he will dissipate. You punch him in the mouth, he'll be your best friend tomorrow. So they don't want opposition. Fear is just telling you there's an aspect you're not willing to be honest. You're in self-denial about looking at yourself. And once you not confront, but once you look at it as something positive, that is just a reminder. It's telling you, listen, wake up, snap out of it. And once you do that, you'll find that there's nothing there that's afraid of. So some of the fasting things I went on for 30 days out in the wilderness by myself, just on a water fast for 30 days, you confront a lot of your demons. And the best thing is you have to look at these things and realize, what was I afraid of? Once you accept this and you integrate this fear concept, integrate it into your personality, into your life, and it becomes a part of you, then all of a sudden it's something that's very positive. You use it as something to evolve and to get stronger and better as a result of confronting this fear.
You know what, Mike? I think I could use that course. I think a lot of us could, you know?
We all can. Yeah, we all need help. The only thing is we're looking to be loved, but we're looking in all the wrong places.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. Mike Stone. Mike, thanks for sharing your incredible journey with us today. And everybody else, make sure you check out Mike Stone's book, My Time with Priscilla and Lisa Marie Presley. Links are in the description. Just click right above here. And we'll bring Mike back again. Make sure you post your comments down below, everybody. And subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Until then, you guys are all beautiful. Who loves you, baby? We do. We'll catch you all later. Bye-bye. Bam.